Mad Lions and Rogue have proven week on week that they are our two best teams in the league. Rogue, the more consistent, grind you out sort of team, whereas Mad Lions throwing fights at you. Two very interesting and exciting teams in their own right.
Sonic Wave has already used Stormbreaker, used defensively.
Shadow!
He got the first! He got him!
Just leave it to Shadow to find that insane play on the Larssen. Larssen is the best team fighting mid laner in the LEC right now. You have to hit him early. They failed to do that, and here they go again.
Sama going forward, maybe.
Oh no, Syndra.
Syndra's looking for the setup. You gotta get him! Sama, are you kidding me?
But Hero's entrance comes down from Humanoid. Ender, you said you wanted to see plays, and they've already arrived. First blood for the Mad Lions.
I think we're starting to see the Humanoid that was promised realized.
We are first place right now, but we should just take like every game in the thought that we are 0-0 right now. I think that's like the best mentality to have, like not get too complacent just because we are at the top.
Now we are tied for first. I'm feeling happy about it, but not like very satisfied. We have to try hard as much as we did for Split.
Rogue versus Mad Lions is possibly the most anticipated rematch of summer. Both teams have dominated countless opponents while showcasing very different playstyles. Even more due to the playoffs format, if either Mad or Rogue win the Summer Split, their spot at Worlds is guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, Worlds is the only thing that's on our mind. If we wouldn't make Worlds, it would be a massive disappointment.
I mean, our motivation is like for sure just getting to Worlds.
Each one of these players wants nothing more than to declare themselves the best in the LEC, and there's no way around each other. Although Rogue lost the last time they met, the odds are different and the stakes are much higher this time around.
Rogue is a team that are winning games by cheesing a lot, but it's not gonna work against the best teams, which is why I think they are gonna lose to us.
This is what modern, peak European League of Legends looks like. This match features the best talent the EU has to offer. Young, eager, hungry, and with unlimited potential.
Kaiser right in the backline. The exhaust goes down, but it might not be enough. Sama's going to be in trouble. Almost one shot. Kaiser desperately wants to finish the kill. He's going to grab one. Orome buys space. And now Orome gets to slice and dice his way through the Rogue lineup. And this is the game.
Mad Lions they look really good right now. I think when you look stylistically how they match up against Rogue, it's going to be pretty favorable for them.
And Rogue send a clear message to anyone who doubted their pedigree as they destroyed Fnatic.
With the regular split coming to an end, all eyes are set on the battle for first. Who is worthy of taking it all? The glory, the title, the crown. Welcome back tonight to the last week of the LEC Summer season and our match of the week. Our main story tonight focuses on Rogue and Mad Lions and the fight for first. I've heard your complaints, I've read your messages that when we talk about first, we talk too much about G2 and Fnatic. And then when we don't talk about them in favor of Rogue or Mad being title contenders, you yell at me that I can't forget G2 and Fnatic. So I wanted to tell you, every single one of you, exactly why it's so important to zoom out and look at the historical picture when discussing the fight for first. This is the 16th split of the LEC. Of the completed 15, 7 have been won by G2 and 7 by Fnatic, 1 from Alliance. Neither Fnatic nor G2 have ever missed playoffs. Focusing on G2 for a second, the single time they didn't win the finals from playoffs, they went on to win the regional qualifier, make semifinals at Worlds. G2 are the most successful and dominant organization in European history. Fnatic are the Season 1 world champions, won 7 LEC titles, made multiple deep runs at Worlds, and were the 2018 World finalists. And with so many different rosters finding success, they have earned the benefit of the doubt, as do G2 based on their historical victories. Can you appreciate that when we discuss the fight for first, no matter who is in the conversation, every single organization in Europe is battling to overcome G2 and Fnatic's legacy? Even if someone could win a single split, they would be the first in 6 years to join the Elite Three. New orgs, however, have to be way more impressive and way stronger before we can justify fully buying into the hype. This split, Mad Lions and Rogue might just be on the cusp of making a giant steps towards creating the Elite Four. If Mad Lions win today, they not only win the summer regular season, but they guarantee their appearance in the World Championship. While it's not as simple for Rogue, they've already got a very real shot at making Worlds. This will be the first appearance for both organizations, and one that comes with some weight of expectation from me and from you and from all of EU. This Worlds, the weight of our entire region may rest on inexperienced international players. Europe has a long, proud history at Worlds, from Fnatic winning Season 1, to CLG and Moscow 5 in Season 2, OG and Fnatic in 2015 on home soil, to Vitality shaping the meta in 2018, and with finals appearances from Fnatic and G2. Mad Lions and Rogue are very likely to rise up to the international stage and have the chance to leave their mark on the world. But before all of that, they have to finish this game, finish this playoff run, and I just can't shake the question. What if one of them wins Summer? Rogue are sitting one win behind first and could beat Mad today. But their style is cookie cutter. It's easy to explain and understand, lacks creativity and that explosiveness, which leads to Rogue being undervalued. One other thing that is extremely undervalued about Rogue is how reliable they are. You have to be a better team in many areas of the game to defeat Rogue, and that's why they have not been upset as many times as the rest of our league. Their consistency is their key, and if you underestimate them, it is at your loss. Turning to their opponents, Mad are the team that I am eyeing at making finals. I think that their creative play, exceptional mechanical ability, creative thinking, and the power of friendship reminds me heavily of the 2019 version of G2, except they are younger, newer, hungrier, and right now, they are just better. Do I think Mad can beat Rogue today, lock first and lock Worlds? Yes. Do I think Mad can do us proud on the international stage? Yes. Do I think Mad can win the Summer Split? Hell yes. Do I believe all of that is going to happen? Who the F knows? All I know is this. Mad Lions and Rogue are right now the only names that you can legitimately include in the discussion for who is the best team in Europe. And whenever that discussion takes place, you cannot discount G2 or Fnatic until they are officially eliminated. Years and years of success grants you the benefit of the doubt, but the fervor with which I defend the old guard is dwindling with each new victory of these rampaging youngsters. Rogue and Mad Lions are on the precipice of greatness. All they need to do is take it.
Wow, thank you very much, Trevor. Some intense words there. I'm Medic. That's Vedius. And in the middle, Frosky.
Why am I always in the middle?
It's the whole, you know, if we flank you, it's less scary for us. Right? He's got your front, I've got your back. You know, just both sides of the argument.
I see, controlling me. Paying attention to our match of the week, or redirecting this conversation as we're going off the rails. Trevor just basically teed us up. Everyone understands the stakes here. If Mad Lions win, they will be the first team to qualify for Worlds 2020. Yep. We are fighting to see who is going to be the best in the LEC, possibly the first step to the beginning of the end from the Fnatic and G2 dynasty. Rogue constantly overlooked, constantly undervalued, and the Mad Lions so explosive, so reminiscent of G2's creative rise. Both these teams have very cool things to be excited for, and Rogue on the blue side, will they continue blue side streaks? Because right now it's only been G2 to break that so far.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The last time Mad played up against Rogue, Mad did get the victory, which means that if they do win today, there is no possible way that Rogue can overtake them. So already we see in the ban, Sona going to be taken off the board from Rogue, the respect clearly being shown towards Carzzy and Kaiser.
I think one of the really important things to look back at the first match that Rogue had against Mad Lions, Rogue very hard lost in draft. Yep. It forced Larssen onto the Echo. It was a very strange composition. I do not think that that happens 2 times. I think finally we'll actually get to see Rogue at their best face Mad Lions at their best. And that's the game that everyone wants a taste for, because it's potentially a taste for what's to come into playoffs.
It's definitely the hope. Of course, Rogue had a tough game yesterday.
Azir priority pick incoming.
You think that's going to be the case?
Well, it depends if Mad Lions ban it, and it looks like with the Kalista ban coming through from Mad Lions, You would imagine that the Azir is going to be high on priority.
It's either
However,
Ezreal, Volibear, or Azir.
Ezreal's already banned, so...
Yeah, I could...
I would go Azir just because I think it's so important for Larssen, and then you've denied 2 champions
But I
from
think
Humanoid.
they're happy to pick Corki into the Azir. So I think that they actually may be willing to they're more likely to let it through and instead prioritize. What?
Yeah, that's a little surprising.
Remember
Well,
how
actually-
I said that Rogue weren't going to int and
Wait, but to be fair, Ezreal, Caitlyn, Senna, and Kalista are all gone.
Yeah.
So the big 4 AD carries that would typically be prioritized are removed. The thing is, I think that you could still consider something like a Varus into this matchup because I think that it's still very good, especially after the repeated nerfs that the Aphelios has received.
I understand. The champion pool for AD carries has been pinched. I do not think right now, with the nerfs that have come through to Aphelios, with the fact that the teams have figured out how to counter him, especially a team like Mad Lions who excel at drafting dive, that it is worth giving Aphelios over for a potential Volibear rotation.
It's going to be Xayah Rakan.
I just think that this is a huge misstep on the priority for Rogue. Hansama better have the game of his life on this champion.
100% agree. You put so much in getting it first pick. Azir will be the next pick for Rogue, but I'm even thinking, could we see a Syndra or something like that come out from Carzzy? Not an AD carry, putting on something that can really lock down this Aphelios in lane.
I think Vedius is right that it's probably going to be the Xayah and the Rakan because they did pull the Rakan so early. They didn't want to lose that combination, but yes, there is always a potential. They also grabbed the Gangplank. So again, Rogue are saying, we're going to get the Azir anyway. I think there was a huge opportunity that Mad Lions could have also denied them that pick, and I think it's by far Larssen's best champion by picking up a blind Gangplank. A, Gangplank is a champion that is good blind, but then B, it's one of those champions that absolutely shits on Aphelios. You just drop the Gangplank ultimate and you'll ruin his day.
I think that I'm a little more skeptical about the blind Gangplank. I think it's really dangerous to do.
Oh no, now you double ban top laners.
I mean, sure, but even then, I still think that you're giving Orome the ability to counterpick.
I mean, he's always going to have it.
I mean, yes,
He'll
true.
play Hecarim into it.
We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the draft goes, because, like, personally, I think that what I was expecting more of was the Ornn to come out from Rogue. I think that would have been more traditional when you look at they've already got the Azir and the Aphelios, and typically they paired that up with the strong front-to-back style of composition. I also wondered if they should have prioritized something like the Tahm Kench against this matchup of the Xayah Rakan, because now Mad Lions could actually ban that away, and I think that your support options then become a lot more limited, and it may even force VandeR into something like a Braum.
I would actually love to see either a Braum or a Lux, especially because you're against a Rakan. And there's the Tahm Kench that you talked about, which obviously with the safety, but you can take Lux Aphelios here.
Do you think Lux Aphelios?
Into Rakan? Yeah.
I mean, like, I understand the
Like,
Lux
you're going to
into
lose
Rakan.
push priority.
I mean, I'm just concerned about, like, the all-in, because right now, Rogue have no front line, and I really think they need something to actually stop Mad Lions' dive, which is why I think that Braum right now is going to be the highest priority for Rogue. And I think that they need... Wow. Do they go Trundle?
No, I think they'll do Braum.
Yeah, but in terms of jungle for Rogue is now what I'm thinking about. Like, what are their options?
Okay, let's just...
Sejuani or Trundle.
Ooh, Sejuani.
I like the Sejuani. Like,
Because they need hard engage.
We've kind of gone through a lot of different permutations and possibilities. Can you guys just explain to me, like, Mad Lions now with the Cho'Gath, what are they looking to round out their composition with, and what do Rogue need to stop Mad Lions just being able to kill them?
Well, they're trying to find a counter pick for Humanoid. We didn't touch on Thresh.
We
That's
did.
the
We
obvious
completely
one.
forgot about Thresh, yeah.
Just completely whiffed through. It obviously helps out immensely with Aphelios, especially if you're contesting wave priority into that mid lane because you have the Dark Passage, allows him to go that much farther down the lane. There might be something cool with Humanoid. I think at this point you can either go into the Corki, the Zoe, or you can even go for something like a Kassadin or a LeBlanc. The nice thing is that with Xayah and Cho'Gath, you actually have pretty decent wave clear that you could get away with a Kassadin if you really wanted here. There's the Trundle that we also mentioned. So they sacrifice the hard engage of taking the Sejuani for the kill pressure on Cho'Gath and Volibear. I think because it's a double tank composition, that was the final nail in the coffin for picking Trundle there, so you can have some kill pressure. And now, again, this is either Corki, Zoe, maybe a Kassadin, possibly LeBlanc, those types of options.
So I think Rogue's comp ultimately is very good against dive. Because when you think about it, trying to engage on this comp, number one, trying to engage...
my god!
Oh!
Okay.
So we've got the AP Kog'Maw in mid lane. Okay, we'll talk more about that. We will talk about it. But I think that ultimately what Mad Lions have Now the Kog kind of confuses me. Okay, well, think more.
I mean, it just outranges the Azir.
Yeah, but you have such strong dive and follow up with Volibear. You have the Rakan. You can then chase that down with the CC from the Cho'Gath as well. And I kind of expected, I guess, like. Yeah, to me, the Kog doesn't fit. I understand how it makes sense in the context of playing against an Azir, and I understand that when you're playing against a composition like Rogues, which is where it's like, it actually wants things to come into it, it wants to close the gap, Kog makes sense. But so much of your composition for Mad Lions wants to dive in, so I feel like the Kog has a different goal to what everything around it wants to do.
What I love about it is imagine picking Kog when Worlds' position is on the line. If Mad Lions win this, they make it to Worlds as the first team anywhere to qualify.
Vedius, I know that when you like to open up a cast, you always like to talk about who has pushing priority in what lanes. And before you grab hold of that, I want to remind the viewers why pushing priority is so important for a team like Rogue. It's kind of their bread and butter. I know that some teams have said that Rogue are a cheesy team. Basically, what they do is that when they have pushing priority, they shove you under, and then while you're clearing the waves, they reset, and they use these resets to get first back onto the map in lane swaps, say for Herald, say for setting up for Drakes, and they use that to cheat tempo and then build very quick gold leads.
Okay.
And so they're constantly shoving you under their tower, backing, running to another lane, and by the time that you're back and matching them, they're already walking back to another lane. This is what Rogue do all the time, which is why champions like Azir are very potent and powerful for them.
We also, like, one of the best examples of that is when they play against G2 and they did that cheeky lane swap, and you could see how difficult it was to actually match them anywhere on the map because it felt like the Rogue was always first on the play. And I think that, as you highlighted, one of the great things about Azir is you can just kind of leave him in mid lane to his own devices. But then when playing against a Kog'Maw, this is where I think things get shaken up a little bit because one of Azir's biggest strengths is his ability to actually gain that early prio against so many of the mid laners, but Kog'Maw makes that a lot harder because his wave clear is actually just so obnoxious.
And he's also really good at delaying backs as soon as he gets level 6, but we'll see if Inspired possibly cheeses him level 2.
He is very low mobility. Kog'Maw, if he oversteps, it's a perfect pillar position here, and you can see Inspired with the early flash for the red buff. Humanoid flashes away and still dies. First blood Rogue.
And already going according to plan for Larssen. Now, the other lane that I wanted to talk about in terms of priority was actually Xayah and Rakan. Xayah and Rakan are one of the few 2v2s that they can actually get an early bounce onto the tower, but we didn't get to see what happened because of the level 2 gank, but it looks like Sama and VandeR really contested them for this wave. Because of the steroid with Xayah and Rakan when they want to hard shove a lane, they're, again, one of the few 2v2s that can get this early to crash in and then reset at level 2 to look for all-ins on you.
And I think that what's really important about that is we keep our eyes on the Volibear too. Notice that he's gone from red into Raptors, into Wolves, into blue. So he's then going to clear out the bot side camps, be in a position to secure the bot Scuttle Crab, and then he can also be in a position to set up for a gank on the bot lane as the wave is bouncing back. So Mad right now have the right set on trying to get their bot laner ahead.
And this just feels like a really good read from Mad Lions. Like, yes, all the AD carries get banned out, but to pivot to Xayah, Rakan, champions that have really strong priority to, again, contest Rogue. It used to be that if you beat Rogue in the lane, that they would just fall over in spring, and that's what you needed to do. Now, the individual pieces of Rogue have gotten better. The Samas, the VandeRs, the Finns, they're all overperforming, and they're in meta, and that's also why we've seen the rise of Rogues so prolifically.
The difficult word to say.
I was so close.
Frost, it's all been great so far as Inspired catches the wave here in the top lane. TP going to be burnt by Larssen to get here. Of course, Humanoid cannot match. He's already used a TP of his own. There's only one minion staying here, but Orome just locked up underneath the tower. Inspired gets his first kill of the game, and it is Rogue who are striking first here against Mad Lions.
I like what we're seeing from Rogue. The aggression from Inspired, I think, has been very effective, getting that kill into mid, setting up the dive towards top. Rogue's game plan is very much... Typically, you don't see this level of early investment when playing with things like an Azir and a Gangplank, but Rogue are making it work, and they're taking advantage of these very small windows and good wave setups in order to punish their opponents in Mad.
And with Rogue being a win behind Mad Lions in the regular season, this win is so important for them. They lost to Mad Lions last time in the head-to-head. If they win this, they tie up that head-to-head, they tie up the win-loss, and everything comes down to the final day of games.
And I also think for Rogue, it's about proving that you can take down one of the top teams.
Yeah.
They themselves are a top team, but falling down to G2 twice, having the opportunity to not get 2-0'd by Mad Lions.
They should have won that game versus G2 as well, you know?
This is the thing. It's kind of like that last little voice that Rogue need to silence to say, yes, we can do it. Now, a big wave has been stacked. I believe that's about 2.5 crashing in. Now, Shadow obviously here to cover Orome since he has burned his teleport, still has access to his flash and help guide this crashed wave in for Finn. But otherwise, it was really good wave states for both Finn and Larssen. After the dive on top side, Orome was denied all of that CS that died into the tower. Because of the tower dive, the wave then forced back into Finn, so he's in an incredibly comfortable spot, opening up the CS discrepancy. And Larssen, for a long time, actually had a freeze on Humanoid as well that has slowly bounced back just so Larssen can get a nice recall in despite not having TP.
He is about 10 farm behind or so, Humanoid right now, but that early kill and assist will get him up about even in terms of gold. 700 gold lead early on here for Rogue. Their early portions of the match have actually been really good generally. Like, they are the best team in the early game of any team in the LEC right now. The only struggle they have had is accelerating their lead in mid-game and not having to wait for late-game teamfights to win.
Pre-15 minutes, Rogue have the highest goal difference at 15 of any team in the LEC, and they don't lose if they're ahead at 15 minutes. All of their losses have been when they actually fall behind, which again goes back to that strategy of shove waves, swap around, always have tempo, always be the first to hitting the plates, getting the Herald, picking up these Drakes, except now.
Yeah.
Losing priority of the Xayah Rakan, losing this early Cloud.
I mean, the other time they lose is when their Baron gets stolen by a Syndra.
That happens.
But they banned Syndra this game, so already their probability has gone up dramatically. Inspired now, though, looking for another gank up towards top lane. They are trying to shut down Orome in this early game.
Actually, it looks like Orome just used Flash for some reason in this top lane. Finn must have been able to force him out. He does get to level 6, has the feast. Finn might just die, but Orome can't quite... Oh, he did get the feast still.
Wow, well played
and
there.
survived.
I'm going to guess that Finn used the Gangplank ultimate because it's on cooldown and probably tried to walk down Orome, and that's where the flash was missing from.
And I think that the way in which Orome played that, the fact that he invested so much into clearing the minion wave, he got the level up, he had the consume, forcing Finn then to flash away from the turret because he knew he could have died. Like, very good play from Orome, and you could see that Rogue was really trying to attack him one more time before that level 6 came through, but they couldn't quite pull it off.
And I do kind of want to talk about, as we enter a bit of a lull state, since we're just going to see swaps for Herald kind of within the next few minutes, is how these compositions will really face, because while Orome is getting bullied slightly on this Cho'Gath, is able to claw it back. I'll hold it.
Double knockup coming out here. The wall comes up from VandeR. Kaiser will just be able to dash away, gets rooted as he dances his way back to Carzzy.
While Orome is getting bullied out a bit, you still have a very strong front line in a Cho'Gath and a Volibear that can force a lot of zone control against something like an Aphelios. Like, Larssen on the Azir will feel pretty safe because he's got movement, he can push you away, he can outrange you, but Aphelios, if he doesn't have his green gun, can have a really hard time dealing with Cho and Volley, whereas the range and line damage from a Kog'Maw and a Xayah will not have that same problem in terms of front-to-back team fighting.
So one of the things Medic and I talked a little bit about yesterday was who wants to try and be first on objective. And whenever I look at in Xayah and Aphelios, well, Aphelios specifically, I think these champions want to be first on objective because when they're the ones walking into their opponents, I think that their relative power becomes a lot weaker.
Yeah, they gotta set up the Sand Soldiers, set up the barrels.
But also their range
position.
is relatively short, as you were talking about, right? And I think that one of the values that their composition has is when they're on the objective first, they have Azir Wall, Trundle Pillar, Gangplank Ultimate. You also have the Braum Ultimate. So when Mad's comp tries to come into them, it becomes very difficult to actually close the gap. And then Azir and Aphelios is like, woohoo, we're chilling, we're having a great time. Whereas if they have to then force their engage onto an objective, they've only really got the Gangplank Ultimate to use to actually close that gap.
Kaiser with the quickness goes straight on in. Larssen is done for. VandeR trying to jump in with the Unbreakable, but can't do too much. That was actually perfectly timed by Kaiser. Kaiser was level 5 when he was sitting in that bush, tinged 6, and then went straight in with a quickness.
As Vedius is talking about, you know, who's first to the punch? Who gets there to the objective? Who's first to the play? That time around, it was Mad Lions who were first to the play. They pulled the trigger on the faster rotation, something that, again, Rogue usually beat teams to the punch to, but have consistently fallen down to the top teams. But Rogue trying to mount a counter.
Carzzy still has the Feather Storm's going to pop it down, doesn't quite get the root off. VandeR forced back towards the bottom side of this. The Stormbringer coming out from Shadow, he might fall. The Subjugate's going to take him down, and Hans Summer secures the kill. And this makes it really difficult for Mad Lions to take this Rift Herald because Finn is coming down. It's a 4v3 in favor of Rogue, and they may have the positioning on this objective that they were looking for.
Yeah, and there's no TP on Orome, so I think Mad Lions actually just need to handshake this and give it away. They're peeking their head in just to dissuade Rogue, while Orome is picking up needed experience, gold, and plates down here.
Wait, Volibear has already respawned on his way back. Finn and Inspired have been forced off this.
Hans Summer just pieced out.
The dance continues. As you rightly said, Hans Summer was prioritizing getting that farm. Carzzy's now going to go pick this up. This does create a point of pressure that Mad have to go and deal with, but Inspired is resetting. Now, I think that what we can take from this is Rogue said we can challenge the Rift Herald because Kaiser used his ult, and with that engage gone, and with the Trundle pillar, no TP on Orome, this actually should be a pretty good fight for us. But the initial play that came out from Mad shows you some of the dive potential that this composition does have. And the fact they were able to find that quick kill onto Larssen is something that Rogue have to be careful of as they're setting up for these next objectives with the Drake spawning in 45.
And that's my concern, is that if Rogue don't actually swap back for this Drake, Mad Lions are actually in a better position on the map where you have kind of the poke from Kog'Maw, the safety of Rakan and Xayah to approach and just kind of dissuade, again, Rogue from taking the Herald. And then you can pull Cho'Gath onto the Drake itself. And until Gangplank has ultimate, Rogue are probably going to feel a little bit trigger shy to approach this Herald and fight cross-map. So there's actually a window here where Mad Lions can try to really bully Rogue around and try to secure both objectives.
Well, I'm actually surprised Mad is still contesting this. They're losing a lot of farm right now because a wave just collapsed into the top tower that Carzzy's probably not going to get there in time. Another bot wave tower did crash as well, but I think Orome was able to grab that one. And I think that right now, Rogue is just kind of putting more focus on making sure that Hans Summer, Larssen, Finn get their farm, get their core itemization. Whereas Mad right now is like, oh, we got to make sure we're in position to challenge Rogue at these objectives.
I think the key mistake, because I don't disagree with you, was just that Carzzy rotated down. I think if Carzzy had stayed to pick up the farm up into the top lane, that it actually would have been a fine play for Mad.
Oh, here comes GP.
TP from Gangplank, or excuse me, Cho'Gath.
Mad Lions and Rogue have been fighting over this for the last couple of minutes. Inspired's going to step forward, pops the Subjugate down, the pillar goes out as well. Kaiser trying to jump in, that Rift Herald has already been secured. Orome feasts it down, Carzzy pops a Feather Storm, has to flash away, lands a double root, but here is Gangplank, and the Sultan swings his scimitar through Carzzy. Hans Summer also kills Shadow on the backline. Shadow sacrificed himself to make sure he could get that Rift Herald.
And it's Rogue that come out ahead in kills, but Mad get the objective that they have been fighting for a while. With their composition, they do have a lot of early game power thanks to the Xayah Rakan, and they can use this to actually break through the mid lane tower, but we'll see what they decide to do with it, because at the end of the day, Hans Summer now sits with 2 kills, the Aphelios is starting to come online, and Rogue should feel pretty comfortable with how this early game is going for them.
But I think they're going to sack the Drake here just because they decided to keep Hans Summer up into the top side, and Rogue making the call that it's more important to get those plates. Maybe he needed a couple more gold to complete this Infinity Edge that he's backing for. Wow, Mad Lions actually just handshake and they say no. Okay, so here's the thing. Mad Lions had first reset. They could have walked down to the Drake and maybe tried to force it, but I don't think that they saw that Larssen was starting to back, which he's now canceled his back. And Hans Summer has now reset. Did not purchase the Infinity Edge. He's just shy because he has all of the components and it's 425 gold to have it.
Yep.
I think they assume he would have had it and walked to the Drake fight. This is such a weird read from both teams. They're like, he's got the Drake. No, he's got the Drake. And they both just walked back top.
So I think like what's been super weird for me, Frosk, is that our game has been very formulaic recently, right? You know, it's like, okay, team with the stronger early game, team that has better positioning with their prio, like they take Drake, they rotate, they herald, blah, blah. Like, you know, you kind of follow these series of steps, but both these teams aren't quite following the steps, so we're kind of like, okay, so what's the plan here? What are they doing? And like, it clearly seems that both these teams kind of have different priorities, but Rogue's priority is not these early Drakes, that's for sure.
But that's so strange because they normally have the highest monster objective control of any LEC team. This is actually like a complete complete departure from Rogue. The fact that Hansama overstayed top and then walked back top. Obviously very conscious. My issue is that they don't have Herald. This would make sense to me if Hansama had the Herald.
So I legitimately think Rogue said, you know what? We think we will not win fights at the Drake. You have Xayah, Rakan, a Volibear, and a Cho. We think we lose early game skirmishes. So fine, we'll concede them. We'll trade Herald for Drakes. But then Mad came and fought them for the Herald. So the trade never actually happened. And that's why we ended up in this very awkward situation. So I think Rogue's game plan was very much like handshake, trade these neutral objectives, but they're still coming.
Botch the fight.
Yeah, and then ultimately it's still, but they have, right? Because they're still coming out ahead in kills and they still have the gold in the right place.
And the important thing is, usually when you see a Herald used on one side, the other team either can't get the tower on the opposite side or it takes them quite a while to get the tower on the opposite side. They invest more resources. Here, it was just Hansama by himself. He's 2-0-0, has an Infinity Edge now, and Frosk, you mentioned early on, Rogue, when they are ahead at 15 minutes, they win the game. Right now, Rogue are 3,000 gold ahead. We are at 14 minutes, 40 seconds. I don't think Mad can get 3,000 gold in the next 20 seconds. So I'm going to say Rogue have had a great early game for them, even if it seemed a little abnormal for them.
But the scary thing is that they're facing the Mad Lions of all teams. And this is kind of always the thing for Rogue. We knew that this was going to be a different game, that they didn't fall into the same traps that they did the first time that these teams faced. But I'm still a little bit scared for them.
I get that. I don't blame you at all. Mad Lions have shown us so many times how quickly they can turn a game on its head. In fact, the last time they played against Rogue, they had that center Wukong and they just kept going in for the engage. And once again, Shadow's going to step forward here. He's subjugated. Tower goes down in the bottom lane. Finn gets that. He's already completed his Trinity Force on this Gangplank, 15 minutes in the game. Some of these carries on Rogue are starting to get very strong, but Mad Lions are also at those 1 to 2 items.
My concern is actually on Orome. I know that there's probably going to be action up into the top side, but Orome, having completed the GLP, now going for the Wisp, is quite fragile on this Cho'Gath for how powerful Gangplank is right now. And so he's actually just kind of letting the wave get shoved into him and then hoovering him up. But this is not the same, you know, Titanic Hydra, really tanky Cho'Gath. He's actually like super fragile. Very, very fragile.
He will have a little bit more utility. And again, I think that like the team that gets first to the objective is going to be really important. You can see how much time Mad is investing into this vision control, but it seems their priority right now is playing towards top tower. VandeR and Hansama are doing everything in their power to not give this over to the Mad Lions. And again, I really want to iterate the fact that Hansama already working on his second item. 60 minutes into this game, this Aphelios hasn't really been punished at all. In fact, he's only come out ahead. We saw the gold earlier. He's actually one of the highest gold earners in this game so far. So like, Rogue, the way in which they play, everything's kind of going to plan right now. They have everything that they want, and excuse me, the biggest thing they have to be scared of is a big throw, right? Like, we have seen it happen before. We've seen a couple mistakes in some of their setups. Their Barons can be a little bit shaky at times, but I still think that when it comes to team fights, they are still one of the better teams in our league because of how talented their mid and AD carry are.
I'll keep our eyes on Rogue over the next few minutes, as this tends to be where they falter, where they make a couple of mistakes, and where Mad Lions will be looking to catch them out. Reminder for all of you at home, Mad Lions won this game the last time the two teams played. They are 1-0 up in the head-to-head. Rogue have to win this to try and get first place in the league. They would tie with Mad Lions at 12-5, and everything would come down to the final day. And the reason you want first in the league is it gives you first seed for playoffs and guarantees you a spot at Worlds. I'll say it again, it guarantees you a spot at Worlds.
This is, of course, because if you're in the upper bracket, even if you lose your best of 5, the lowest that you can get is 4th, and because Europe has 4 seeds to Worlds, that would be why it guarantees you the spot.
I'll add a tiny clarification, Frosk, if that's okay. You have to be first seed in the upper brackets to be guaranteed a spot, which is why first place is where you must end up.
So what's happening right now is we're positioning over the Herald, or second Herald, that is spawning, as well as the Infernal Drake that's spawning in 24. Again, it's the third Drake, which means that if Mad get it, it would set them up very nicely for Soul.
So the quickness was fine there, but because VandeR could just step in front of them with the Unbreakable, like, Carzzy could do nothing. I feel that was a little bit over-eager from Kaiser.
I actually think that Mad Lions shouldn't have been trying to fight that anyway. Larssen maybe now caught out.
Shadow burns a flash. Flash comes out of Larssen as well. But here comes the best of Rogue, and they might look for a little bit more of a fight here. Shadow's just going to get chunked out. There's an Infernal Dragon available, and Mad may have thrown their chance to get this third dragon freely.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Why don't you just handshake with Rogue and say, you can have the Herald. You're obviously playing hard topside and try to trade it for the Infernal, and then potentially set yourself up for a soul fight. Now, losing this Infernal, they then lose their opportunity to force Rogue's hand to try to play for soul on fourth, and they'll possibly lose the Herald as well.
Oh, Orome's coming in, though. He does have the Feast. Won't get there in time. Inspired secures it with the Smite, and now he's going to have to try and run towards this bottom lane. His living artilleries are starting to do a little bit of work. Carzzy even pops the Feather Storm there. Perhaps a little overeager. They might continue this chase. There's no turret, but there's a little bit of desperation in some of the Mad plays.
Well, so I don't think it's desperation. I think that they're
just forcing. Really
they're
hard.
forcing, exactly. Because I think in the top lane, if you can kill Inspired, suddenly these objectives become a lot easier, right? I think that they just didn't anticipate, because again, I need to see the replay to see exactly why and like where the map state was and what information they had, but they chose to go into a 2 versus 3, which was the mistake. So the only logic I can garner is that they thought that it was a 2 versus 1, they could kill Inspired, and then they could just get out. With the jungler dead, then suddenly playing for Drake and playing for Herald becomes very easy. But then because that didn't happen, things then start to fall apart.
This is a really oversimplified way to look at it, but how I kind of view these two teams is like Rogue will take what's guaranteed to them.
Yeah.
You know, like they know what they should be having at this point. And they're like, yes, I will take this. Yes, I will take this. Teams like G2 and Mad Lions, they like see things that aren't necessarily guaranteed and like, that mine? I could have that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that
this could be mine.
This is also where we
You eating that donut?
We have this.
I'm eating that donut.
We have this conversation very much about like taking risks, taking gambles, and I think it's one of those things where there are sometimes situations where it doesn't always pay out and there's an inherent risk. Like when we saw Fnatic doing a Baron at 20 minutes earlier in the day, right? Like that is inherently risky, right? But it can have a massive payout, and if the chances are good enough, good teams will often take it.
Emperor's Divide use here. The Stormbringer will stop that turret from doing too much damage, and Mad Lions will be able to walk away uninjured. They also get the tower in the mid lane. 4,000 gold between these two teams right now.
I would say slightly helped there, I guess.
Yeah.
They just got like pushed out from danger and then like, I guess while I'm here, I'll just take the tower. That said, they might have to reset, and I think Rogue have an opportunity that maybe they can trade 1-for-1 on these mid towers by just hard running it back, especially because Gangplank's coming up behind them.
Gonna try and push in, but Humanoid, Vedius, you said it earlier on. The wave clear from a Kog'Maw. Pretty darn devastating. I will say now in my head, all I have is Rogue are the insurance brokers and Mad are the daredevils. And that's I'm going to imagine them in suits from now on.
What daredevil is wearing a suit?
No, the insurance brokers.
Oh.
Wait, also, there's literally a superhero called Daredevil.
Well, I know, but I did think...
Super suits.
Anyway, my concern, now, like we've said that a lot, Frosk, right? I'm optimistic about Rogue's chances right now because I think that the fact that they have their Aphelios on 2.5 items, the fact that Larssen is getting very close to upgrading his, and now with Dragon spawning in about 2 minutes, it's very easy for Rogue to just push in waves, gain prio, and then set up for these objectives first. And I think what we're going to see is it's going to be very difficult for Mad to actually challenge. And this is where I'm turning my attention to the Kog'Maw. I asked in the draft, what is the purpose of this Kog'Maw in the context of what Mad wants to do? I understood that it makes sense in the matchup against Azir. You outrange the Azir, you outpoke him, you can match his wave clear. But when it comes to these team fights, I'm very curious as to how this Kog'Maw is going to work. So perhaps there's something I don't see, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Humanoid can execute, because he's that late game insurance that can definitely act as a huge carry the longer this game goes on.
I think one of the nice things about the Kog'Maw is that you have a bit of safety for checking into Fog of War.
That's true.
Or blind areas. You can just go in and just start vomiting into random bushes and kind of saying what you get. Also, I'm going to try to be optimistic here, glass half. I'm also optimistic for Rogue, but I'll say this. Orome, with this Cho'Gath build, does have the potential to pull a Wonder, and I think that's something that could kind of upend Rogue, is that if you suddenly have a Cho'Gath that has splinter celled his way into Fog of War, and then finds a flank with all of this utility, Azir and Aphelios will not be able to get away from Godzilla, and he'll do a lot of damage. So maybe there's that.
Yeah, and it's also one of the reasons we come back to that Tahm Kench ban from Mad Lions in the second phase. Braum cannot protect you from a feast. Tahm Kench can, right? Tahm Kench can gobble you up and spit you away from it.
But Braum synergizes extremely well with everything else.
So, yeah.
It keeps your arms length so you can never get feasted.
I'm not saying Braum isn't a good pick. I'm just saying if we ever see that flank position from Orome, that's where it could go.
I think the issue is that because of how far ahead Hansama is over Carzzy, fighting front to back is really risky.
They're doing it anyway!
Oh,
Shadow trying to run in.
Okay, as I said,
this isn't the point, right? Every time you try to go in, you're just like, nope.
Whoop.
Fighting
insurance brokered, out you go.
Fighting front to back for Mad Lions is really risky because their AD carry is not strong enough comparatively to Aphelios right now.
That.
What they need to do is find a flank with Orome and make sure that it's not a front-to-back fight at this game stage.
Okay, quickness is available. Here we go. Kaiser trying to go in, but he's immediately stopped by the Glacial Fissure. The dragon is still low. Humanoid on the back lane. It was stolen away. Inspire takes it, and now Kaiser's trying to run for the hills as Carzzy locked up, stunned in place. Shadow jumps forward, but Hansama's still alive. Carzzy did a lot of damage, but the rest of Mad Lions are not there to follow up. And Rogue don't even need to chase this. They just used the pillar. They stole away the Inferno. But Mad Lions, they want a little bit more of this. Humanoid still has about a third of his mana bar available. And you can see him just trying to chip away. Teleport's coming in behind them. And now Rogue in the river are looking for a flank position here on Mad Lions. Kaiser on the front line. The barrels don't quite connect. But here comes Larssen, puts the soldiers down in the river, trying to catch onto Mad Lions, who are dodging away as quickly as they can. Humanoid's going to go down. He has the passive. Hansama has no way of getting away from it. Boom! Hansama dies, so Humanoid and Mad get their second kill of the game.
But it's Rogue that's still in control. They secured the second Infernal Drake. They'll also come out ahead in the fight. And when we get the replay, I just want to showcase how difficult it is for Mad to actually engage on this composition. Remember that Mad threw everything in the mid lane. So even though they were first on the Drake, it didn't matter because there were no tools that they could then use to engage. And again, watch the Rakan here. Kaiser's like, I've got ult, I'm going to engage, and then VandeR insta-Braum ultimate. So Larssen and Hansama are perfectly safe. They can now use their front line to dish out the damage. Look, Humanoid and Orome are forced out. Frost was talking a lot about how squishy this Cho'Gath actually is, and Hansama nearly kills him. Then Mad start to split up, and you recognize, okay, this is not a good team fight at all for Mad. The rest of Rogue can get away to safety, and they end up coming out ahead in the fight.
And then to cap it all off, little chicken legs comes in on the back end with teleport and just ruins everyone's day. That's a death cap on this Azir if you were wondering where a lot of that damage came from. I'm just gonna say it. I feel like caps just does more damage on champions, because when I saw AP Kog'Maw last time, he was doing significantly more than anything Humanoid is doing right now.
Yeah, Humanoid, well, I mean, he did quite a lot of damage with his passive in that last fight.
Are you really maximizing Kog'Maw unless you use the passive?
True. He did get an 850 gold shutdown off the back of that too, so he's going to complete the death cap and also grab himself the Fiendish Codex.
Big difference in AD carry itemization though. Like Frost, you kept mentioning you think Hansama's just too far ahead for Mad to take these fights. Hansama has 3.5 items. Carzzy has 2.
He's always going to be ahead at this point unless there's just repeated shutdowns just fed into Carzzy. I will say that Carzzy is still 1 item away before I think that Mad Lions can feel confident in a front-to-back fight. As I say that, they're just like throwing their face at it.
Yeah, inspired, charmed, popped up with a Glacial
It'll work this time, guys.
Because the thing is, the moment you go in, it's like pillar, now you can't go out.
Just no escape for them. TP even comes in here from Orome. Finn is looking for a flank position, but doesn't even need to join this. It could be that Rogue are looking to pull the trigger on a Baron.
Baron, yeah.
Do not get me wrong, as I think that Mad Lions might get walked down here. Mad Lions are an exceptionally good team, but I will start to just plant this seed of doubt. They have started to fall down in the recent weeks.
Yes. I mean, there's a wall near them and they keep putting their face straight into it.
They haven't looked as good, and I feel like they kind of opened up the split. They pulled out the Senna Wukong. They were having these phenomenal picks with like the Pantheon support that they've kind of run out of, not gimmicks, but these trump cards, if you will. And now, when they play just kind of standard compositions as they did against Vitality, they are actually just losing games.
I mean, so for me, I think like Mad do a lot of things well.
They're a good team still.
Yeah, because I think that like individually they're very talented, and I think that they showcase a wide array of how well they can actually play the map. But I think in this game, a lot of it has actually just come down to execution. And the one thing I will say about Rogue is they're very good at reading what you want to do and then kind of just playing around it. And when we think about their game yesterday, it was like that they saw everything, and then they did everything in their power to just... Wait, they ended up losing yesterday, didn't they?
Who, Rogue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind, that's not the example that I'm thinking of. There was a game where I just remember them reading everything that their opponents did, and they didn't even get a choice in what
Just
they
say
were
Origin.
doing. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, is that deficient?
Walk that one off, Mark.
Oh, God. Swiftly moving forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, right now Rogue is setting up control around the bot side of the map because they're playing for the 3rd Infernal Drake. They're already miles ahead of Mad. It's going to be very difficult for Mad with their composition to be able to come back into this game. And right now, Rogue are looking to tie up Mad in the scoreline at the top of the league.
Would be both on 12 and 5. The head-to-head would be 1-1. And in case you all don't know at home, if Mad and Rogue are tied at the end of the regular season, they will play a tiebreaker game if they're tied with each other. We will have at least one tie, because this is the LEC.
We will truly have a best of 3. You've been asking for it. We decided to give it to you.
Just the teams had to comply, you know, and now the Infernal Dragon has been started up here by Rogue. Mad, Carzzy takes quite a lot of a chunk. Orome trying to step forward, trying to be that front line for his team, but he's only really got AP, about 2,000 HP on him. The Infernal Dragon down to 2,000, it's taken by Carzzy, he secures it. And now they try and dive onto the backline, but the Emperor's Divide is going to do so much work. Shadow's already gone. There's 2 as Kaiser falls, and Finn is still stepping into Carzzy, flashes off towards the back. VandeR able to survive. There comes the damage. Carzzy, goodbye. Shut down. The double kill comes out from Hans Summer. Orome tries to flash away, but he has no place to go apart from back to the fountain. A triple for Hans Summer. He's looking for more. Humanoid almost goes down, just able to survive as he limps, wounded and hurt, back towards his base, but Inspired's having none of that. Humanoid, it's walkies. It's Inspired actually might just die here. But has he delayed it for long enough? Can Rogue win the game?
Just a consolation prize. Rogue immediately pulled the trigger on the TPs. They knock on the inhib door. They kick that one in. They're now turning onto the Baron, and Mad Lions are sprinting towards the Baron. But look, Rogue read them just as Vedius was talking about. They say, they're going to run to this. Let's see if we can catch Shadow face-checking.
So I think that Rogue, because they lost their jungler, didn't want to actually do Baron here, but Mad was like, oh, enemy jungler's dead, maybe we can sneak it, maybe we can actually take it away from them, and as you said, Rogue act as interference. So let's see this fight play out. Again, look at all the disengage tools. Carzzy's just getting chunked out by the Gangplank ultimate. Inspired soaks up the initial engage, and while the dive initially looks promising onto Hans Summer, there's just too much disengage coming out from the side of Rogue. There's just so much peel with the Azir wall, with Hans Summer also with the Gravitum. And then with only 3 members of Mad left alive, Hans Summer still has his ultimate at the end, and he's like, okay, I guess I can use my long-range ability here to help clean this one up. Extremely well played team fight from Rogue. And again, like, I think we're just seeing a big comp difference here where Mad comp, they weren't able to get a big enough lead in the early game to really make their dive effective in these later stage fights.
And that's what's so cool about Rogue and Mad Lions being at the top of our league, is that in both these instances, if Rogue close out this game, it feels like it was comp difference.
Yeah.
It was comp difference when Mad Lions won the first time, and it'll be comp difference when Rogue win the first time, because you can use vastly different styles as long as you specialize to rise to the top of the LEC.
Right now, Mad Lions are not willing to give this game up. Larssen does quite a lot of damage over to Shadow, the Baron. No vision at the moment for Mad. It actually, observers, if we could have a look just over towards that Baron pit and show us, they've got a few wards behind where Rogue would be. So they have these flank wards. They have those Orome wards, we'll call them, Frost, because that is where Orome could get in with his TP. Shadow's diving forward. Hans Summer caught out just a little bit. Hans Summer really goes unstoppable. Great knockup. The Feather Storm, that's 2, that's 3. Kog'Maw gets a triple. Humanoid perhaps able to turn this game around for his team, but Larssen's diving forward. The Emperor's Divide doesn't quite hit his Humanoid. Uses the setups. There's the Quadra. The Kog'Maw is popping off in this game.
And Vedius, you wanted to know what the Kog'Maw was going to do? I don't think it was that you were planning for. I don't even think Humanoid knew that that was what he was going to do.
That's not a Kog'Maw play. That's a goddamn Humanoid play. What a beast. Oh my word, I can't believe that combo actually came out. Yeah, like, but I don't know if Mad can actually do this. They're too squishy. Finn's still alive right now. While it was a great team fight for Mad, it's actually not going to result in any objective. Right, Frost, break this one down for us. Let's see how this one starts.
I mean, they just get locked into a choke point. I don't know what you want. It's a Venn diagram of murder. They just like pop into the air. Hell is raining down above them. The big thing was that Finn wasn't there. He was actually walking towards the top side. for whatever reason, either to get the
Oh
wave
my word.
pushing forward or
And
to
the
contest.
Carzzy feathers too, they actually managed to go through. The Braum shield, I don't think, blocked them. So that means that because they all came behind, Carzzy E combined with the Kog'Maw W, it all came down to Summer killing a ward. Right, like, Summer overstepped killing a ward, and that was what Mad used to say, could this be another situation where the game should be set and match for Rogue, and then they throw it away?
And here's the thing, again, it's about style. It's the fact that Rogue are trying to set up a play and Mad Lions are, again, forcing, but they outplay on the individual player to kind of swing this game back for them. Now, still, big goal difference in favor of Rogue, and while all of that quadra kill didn't give them a Baron, it did give Humanoid so many more items. This Kog'Maw will hit like a truck.
And this is where I think the Kog'Maw can really be powerful. Level 17, whenever Rogue, that's so much damage.
Cannon barrage going down with Carzzy. You can see Kaiser going to try and protect him. Carzzy able to get off towards the back of it. Uses the heal, gets the root onto Inspired with the Blade Caller. Minions pushing in, going to take that inhibitor tower in the bottom lane. Mad might have to disengage. Okay, this is only the third dragon for Rogue. Mad do not need to fight this, but Mad have never backed down from a fight before. I'm pretty sure they're willing to take that. Almost just gets nuked. The living artillery from Humanoid takes all of his HP in a heartbeat, and now it's a 4v5 in favor of Matt. Kaiser's going to blast Cone in, looking for the damage on Finn. He lands the stun. Shadow stepping forward as well. Arome's going to try and get in here, but Carzzy is actually locked off towards the backside, and Finn is able to get himself down towards the bottom lane. Let's reset.
They don't care. They don't care if it's an unfair fight. They make it a fair fight.
I can't believe Humanoid. Wait, let's have a look at the Drake. Let's look at the Drake right now.
Give me the Drake, give me the Drake, give me the Drake. Here we go. Okay, Shadow trying to fight towards the base. He's TPing into the base. He's looking for the winner. Shadow goes golden. The Infernal Dragon, the target here for Rogue. With him in the base is Larssen and Finn. Rogue are looking through. They're trying to get the back door onto Mad Lions, and Mad Lions don't have an hard recall. They don't have Baron. They get the Infernal. That's the soul, but is that enough? Here comes the TP. It's cancelled. It's cancelled. Rogue, for 1 second, it looked like you threw it, but what an incredible call. The inhibitor. Rogue stopped at the final hurdle by an inhibitor. Shadow goes down. Can they get back? TP coming in from Humanoid. He tries to get towards the bottom lane.
There's no way he can't stop both of them.
They can't get there in time. Rogue have done it. Rogue have done it, and they tie Mad Lions in first place.
And that is the difference between these teams. Mad Lions thought it was going to be over the Infernal Drake. They're like, buckle up. Here it comes the fight.
Finn with the PM as well.
Rogue play the map. They play the back door. And they finally take down a first place team. Congratulations, Rogue.
They will also make, well, Mad Lions will not be able to lock in Worlds just yet because of that.
They can lock in Worlds tomorrow if Rogue lose.
Whew, what a close game. Mad played those fights at the end incredibly well. I thought that they were going to be able to claw their way back in, but the thing is that they were abandoning waves in order to set up for these fights. And that is what Rogue took advantage of at the end of the day. They saw a window, they went for the tier. I thought the inhib was gonna cost it everything. I thought that was gonna be it.
So, when the observers were looking at Gangplank, like, what?
I was like, what are we looking at?
Get off of Gangplank, observer!
Come on, guys, what are you doing? Guys, Kia player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter. Inspired Larssen and Hans. Give it to whoever you want to. That was an incredible game.
No, it's Larssen.
You sure it's Larssen?
Yeah.
Betty, you agree?
I mean, it's tough. I thought like
They give his little chicken legs on his little TPs.
VandeR was one of the MVPs for me.
Yeah,
I thought,
why isn't VandeR on this
VandeR
list?
was like really insane, but
You can do your write-in votes, VandeR. Like,
Come
you did
on,
wonder for
Ender,
the-
what is happening here?
VandeR, you're letting us down.
Come on.
Kevin, I can't believe you let this.
Kevin.
Oh, it was Kevin.
Yeah, of course it was.
Dag nabbit, Kevin. Anyway, really impressive game from Rogue. I think that what we saw here was, number one, Rogue, they have a clearly defined style. They're bloody good at that style.
Yep.
And what I think we got to see from Mad is that while sometimes their drafts don't always work out, there are a couple question marks. I think we need to kind of go back and evaluate more Mad's second half of the split, take a bit of a deeper dive and see how they've been different from the first half. I think that what we can clearly say is they're not afraid to fight you. They will take those risks and they will pretty much fight to the death in every single game.
People can't give Azir to Larssen.
No.
Like, anytime Mad Lions, Rogue lose, it's because Orianna, Azir are all taken away from him, and he's forced onto something else, forced onto an Echo, forced onto a Rise, and his Rise is still bloody good.
Yep.
But, like, you cannot give Larssen Azir. He's, like, the best Azir.
You just can't do it. He's going to run on his little chicken legs and
Little
give us
chicken
more
legs.
insight about that backdoor before VandeR joins us in the post-game lobby. Don't you guys go anywhere.
Welcome back to the LEC. What a match of the week. That was Larssen. Congrats on winning against Mad Lions.
Thank you.
That was a great game for you guys. I mean, let's turn everything upside down and dive straight into the back door. I want to show you the replay. Explain to me, how did you make this happen? Because you TP in, so to me, it looks like it was your call to make.
It was my call, yeah. It was me and my Finn call. And fight looked kind of bad because Braum kind of got one-shot by Kog'Maw. He actually got one-shot, but so the fight looked really hard. But luckily Hans had pushed in the mid-wave, so we could tip to the base. And I mean, then when I tipped the base, I knew it was over. But then inhibitor actually spawned, so I got a bit worried. But Hans just killed them all. It looked like just 1v4 and kill them all or something. So yeah.
That was a great game from
really
you guys.
Good.
Yeah, and I mean, and even before that, Mad Lions took a team fight, so I was like, okay, their late game is coming, right? Like with the Xayah, the Kog'Maw. Is it something that you were mindful about, the fact that they had a strong late game and you had to strike really hard to get them?
Don't really think they had that good of a late game. I think it's pretty even. Gangplank scales really well compared to Cho'Gath as well, and Azir doesn't scale bad. He scales really well. But Kog'Maw got a quarter kill, right, and some shutdown, so he actually got really fed, which was a bit worrying since we had full control of the game, and then he just got a quarter kill. So I was kind of worried that we would throw, because we have thrown some games against SK and G2, we threw really hard. But I'm just really happy we managed to close it out and win and not throw another game. And now their first place dream is still alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were going to talk about that a bit later because you can still get first here. But I mean, this was the fight we were all waiting for, the top two teams facing each other. And I remember that during the first round robin, they beat you. So what was different this time? What did you learn about Mad Lions during the last few weeks to help you overcome them today?
We haven't learned anything about them like specifically. We're focusing ourselves always right during the split. In playoffs, you usually focus more on the enemy team, but during the split, you just focus on yourself. And last time we played them, I think we had quite a bad draft. It was actually like the worst draft of the split that we had. So it made the game quite hard. But this game, our draft was really good, and our play was really good as well. So.
Yeah, and we've been over the fact that draft is really important right now, given the way you play the game. But okay, focusing more about you then, this split. You guys are tied for first now. There's been a few discussions about you potentially getting the MVP. So how does it make you feel, given all the work you put in to get there?
It feels really good that we have a good split, because last split was really disappointing, and it feels so bad when you have a bad split. But now we have a really good split, and we have a very good chance of making Worlds and even making first place in the regular split. So, I mean, it feels really good that I'm playing well and that my team is playing well. And yeah, we're gonna aim to win the split, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and now you just bought yourself a ticket for a potential tiebreak for first. I mean, if you and Mad end the day tomorrow with the same amount of victories, you guys will play a tiebreaker for first. But first, you have to face Origin. They have nothing to lose. So how do you see this one going?
Well, I'm very confident we win, right? I think their mentor is probably not in the right place after they didn't get to playoffs. Sometimes when you don't have anything to lose, you play better, but I think for Region's case, it's very unlikely they play better because it's a very hard blow for them to not reach playoffs. But we just need to focus on ourselves, and if we play well, we're going to win, and then it will be an exciting tiebreaker, probably.
For sure. We want to see the rematch for you against Mad Lion, for sure. Thank you very much, Larssen, for the interview, and congrats again on winning this match of the week.
Thank you.
And we're going to take one last break, and we'll come back in a few minutes for PGL with VandeR and Shox and Ender. Wow. Models. Amazing.